there it is. You can see it on the screen right now. It is going to be JimRising versus El Chamaco himself, El Champion of Batalla de las Americas. This is the ZvZ that we have all been waiting for. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Curious Minds LE, we have the man himself on a Korean team representing Team GP and the land of Mexico. We have El Chamaco. We have Cham, the Chupacabra himself. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have his opponent, arguably the player with the best ZvZ in the region, representing Los Macacos all over the world, as well as his unborn child. And JimRising in the chat, because why not? Representing Timbers Esports, it's the other Mexican Zerg. It is JimRising. Let's go. You may be wondering, best ZvZ in the region? Jim has actually taken games and series off of Cham before. In DreamHack of all places. In the most important tournament of StarCraft. Period. So Jim can be really surprising in this matchup. Where he lacks in ZvT and ZvP, he makes up for in ZvZ. This is his best matchup. And even though I wouldn't go as far as saying he's the favorite here, he isn't the favorite, but he's still an amazing player, and he can cause that upset. It's like maybe 30% chance, 30-70 sort of thing. Maybe 40-60 if I want to be generous. But more often than not, like 30-70. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see if he can do this. Because these are the two strongest players in today's tournament. Obviously, this player here, Cham, he is the favorite. He has been dominant throughout the entire year. So dominant, in fact, that this year he went to Korea. It was a huge thing when it happened. He went to the land of Korea. He practiced with the best of them, with Special and the other Korean players out there. And he improved so much. But now Cham is back in the land of Mexico. He's back home, and he has to earn some money if he wants to eat today. He's got to put the work in, you know? And we'll see if he can. We shall see. Meanwhile, just catching up in the chat. Light, you're really cool. Thanks for casting. Oh, thank you. Gracias, Inch to Maniac. Gracias. I appreciate it. Again, it's a little bit bittersweet being here. Like, I love Latin American StarCraft, but this is the final Latin American event of the entire year of 2021 before we go on a break and before, you know, we get into Christmas and New Year's and all that stuff. So, this is the end of something beautiful, but not forever, because it will be coming back next year, be coming back in 2022. So, exciting times ahead of us. Very exciting. Light showing lots of chest today. God damn it, for sure. God damn it. Stop looking at my chest. Stop it. As Cham he's heading across the map with a wave of lings, and talking about the game a little bit here, we had some pretty standard openers. Hatch gas pull from both ways. There's not enough energy for transfuse. Oh my god, the queen is gonna go down. The lings are gonna find a way in, and where can they go from there? Ooh, the queen's quickly wall off though. Beautifully done here by JimRising. Sure, he loses the queen, but he keeps himself alive. Ooh, forced a lot of lings out, and now Jim is going to be going across the map to try and deny this third base. What's important though is that we do have +1 melee on the way and a lair. What does this mean? I was talking about it in the previous matchup. Mutas are going to be coming out here for JimRising. He is known as the Muta King, and everything here screams mutas. He's taking his gases. He doesn't have his gas in his main base, so we'll see if that's really what he is going for. Meanwhile, the lings of Jim, are getting surrounded. He's being cleaned up. I thought he was going to get a kill on this third base, but it looks like he will not. He was a little bit distracted, to be honest. But he has to keep these lings alive. Again, +1 melee is still on the horizon. Oh my god, he wants a kill. Oh god, he has to be careful. It's not worth losing all your lings, puppy. He does barely escape. What's important is that Cham is going for +1 range. He's going for a roach push when he is done droning. And the problem is that Cham is still in the dark. He still hasn't scattered JimRising. He sees that there is no third base. He sees that it's still a two-base army. And soon he will notice that +1 is done for these lings. And that is the tell he needs that there are mutas coming out. As there is that Spire in the natural base. Again, even though he hasn't scattered the lair, even though he hasn't scattered the Spire or the gases, the +1 melee is a big tell. Like, all he has to do is click on a ling, and you don't go +1 melee unless you plan to avoid roaches and unless you plan to go into mutas. So what is Cham's plan here? Assuming he recognizes what's coming, he needs either more queens to defend, a Spire of his own, maybe a Hydra Den, or maybe a Nidus. Nidus is always an option as well. He does have the lair. Meanwhile, there we go, the lings are rushing across the map. Cham, respecting the lings and respecting the upgrades of JimRising, is rushing all the way back home. And I still don't really see an answer to the mutas other than Mass Queen. And that's kind of risky. Like, queens are good anti-air, but they're also very slow, they're very immobile, they're not very aggressive either. They're great defensively, but he's gonna give Jim a lot of room. Yo, can Jim get the hatchery? He focuses it down, he gets the hatchery! Oh my god, gets a queen as well as a handful of drones. JimRising with the plays, but at the same time, Cham goes for a massive run by. The wall is not a wall for nada, JimRising. The lings get into every single base, and drones are falling left and right for Cham, because Jim also got into the base. 16 drones went down. Jim, he's dealt so much damage, and he's defending at home. He only lost 2 drones. Jim, he's ahead in workers. He's down in army, but he has mutas. He has the map control. He can just send this across the map, and there's no way. It's going to be so difficult for Cham to get another base. And Cham knows that. He's like, a third base is not on the way. A Nidus is on the way instead. He's going to be going across the map with queens and with spores, with drones to throw down spores. But it's so difficult to make that work. Regardless, that's a lot of roaches. Oh my god. That's a lot of roaches. Sure, there are mutas out, but he's looking to end the game. He wants to deal as much damage as possible before he gets cleaned up, and it looks like he will. The roaches, they get into the natural base. The queens all fall. The drones are going to fall. The Spire is under threat as well. And Jim is just going to take too long. It's going to take him far too long to clean this up. He's trying to keep all his drones alive, but oh god, they're getting picked up. Oh god. Drones falling left and right. Jim is trying to minimize the losses as best he can, but there's only so much he can do. Oh god, the third! Cancel! It's a kill, it's not a cancel. Jim, he gets on top of the Niduses, so he keeps denying the queens. But like, look at the drones, mate. He killed 16 drones earlier, but now he's lost 17 of his own. Oh no, the numbers keep going up. Stop! Stop, puppy, stop! Roaches will finally go down, but... oh god. The Nidus gets up, the queens are here, GG gets called, and Cham takes game 1. Jim was doing so well. He was doing so well, sniping the third base, getting the mutas out. But he just didn't have enough to deal with all those roaches. Like, the roaches with their upgrades, like, they're so beefy, they're so tanky. And it's also Curious Minds, a very small map. Like, if this was Pride of Altaris, if this was Glittering Ashes, then I would have given Jim even more of an advantage. But because this is such a small map, that roach push only takes a couple seconds to get across the map and to end the game. Oh, GG. Mexico? There we go. Just setting things up here as we get into game number 2. Meanwhile, welcome Malazerg in the chat. First time chatter. Yes, !B to have a look at the brackets. To have a look at what is going on today. Again, these are the 2 highest profile players that we have facing off in the semifinals. Loser of this series gets knocked down to the lower bracket. The winner moves on to the grand finals. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Blackburn ALE, we have the man to beat. The Mexican Zerg player currently up in this series and only needs one more to move on to those grand finals. Representing Team GP, it is Cham. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner of Blackburn ALE, we have the other Mexican player, the Mexican Zerg representing Timbers Esports, almost pulling off the 2-base muta in game 1, but just barely not. It is JimRising. Again, he had very nice play in game 1. I was so impressed with what he was doing, but it just barely wasn't enough. And I worry for him because he better not go 2-base muta again. We're on Blackburn. I was talking about how small of a map Curious Minds is. Mate, it's nothing compared to Blackburn. The rush distance by ground is almost non-existent. Roach pushes hit that much stronger, that much faster, that much harder. You don't want to be cutting corners and going 2-base muta on a map like this. And that's kind of what Jim is known for. It's not the only thing he has to do, but it does mean that that kind of strategy is out the window. It shouldn't be a thing here. Meanwhile, pretty standard openers. Hatch gas pool from both of our players, so nothing too out of the ordinary. Also, unfortunately, no gold bases. I want to personally apologize to someone in the chat. Chase is there in the chat, and I apologize that no one has taken the gold. I know that he loves this map, and I know he loves gold bases, so unfortunately that is not happening. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. Maybe I'll message Cham after this and see if I can make something happen. Meanwhile, shout out to Oz Prodos in the chat as well. It's been a while since I've seen Oz Prodos, not gonna lie. Like, despite us having events with all these Australian players, he shows up for the Latin Americans. Shaking my head. Nah, but it's great to see you. It's great to see you. Hope you're doing well, and I hope that you have a great holidays as we're getting close to Christmas. It's right around the corner. And speaking of Christmas, one of these players is looking to be El Champion to help, to help provide, to help make their holiday wishes come true. I don't know what the hell I'm saying. Cham, he takes his 3rd base at a pretty standard time. Interesting, he opts to avoid the Bailey Nest for now. Goes for a much faster Evo Chamber. Interesting choice here from Cham. As Jim is still stuck on 2 bases. He's looking to pull a little bit of a Miyamaka here. He's trying to clear up some of these overlords, trying to deny some of the vision of Cham. And we'll see what Jim has in store for us. Again, I'll be so surprised if he does go for a fast 2-base lair. It's such a risky move. Instead, we see a bit of a Ling Flood coming out. Cham even getting supply blocked after losing that overlord. Oh my god. Okay, I was keeping an eye on the production tab. I was like, yo, is Jim just gonna make nothing but Lings? No, he does make a wave of drones. He's doing it. Oh god. We do have the 2-base layer, but we have +1 range instead of +1 melee, so this should not be for a Spire. He should be committing into Roaches instead. Something a little bit more standard, and Jim respecting his opponent, respecting the map. I love it. It's beautiful, mate. It's beautiful. And we'll see how this goes. I imagine that JimRising, he's not looking to go for a 2-base all-in. I imagine he's secure on 2 bases, gonna make a wave of Roaches and take a 3rd base behind it. It's gonna be later, and Cham will have the economic advantage with the much faster 3rd. But I imagine JimRising is looking to catch up. I imagine. Well, I mean, we'll see him cut drones and then just make nothing but Roaches. Oh god. As the lair finishes up, Lings are doing the best they can to be a little bit. Oh my god, no, the higher G Queen is a part of the wall. A little bit of miss micro there by Jim. 1 queen goes down, the 2nd could go down as well if he's not too careful. Okay, Cham is finally. Oh god, he's finally forced back. But that was. Oh god, he gets in. Oh, he doesn't. Thank god. Jesus Christ, you're scaring me, Jim. Very nice moves there by Cham, picking off a queen like that. Meanwhile, there we go. Third base is finally on the way for Jim. Obviously, it means that his economy has taken a hit, but he'll be able to catch up, and he does have other things to make up for that. As he does have quite a large army here as the roaches are popping out. Cham does confirm the third base. Does have eyes on it, so he's well aware that, okay, you know, Jim, he's not staying on 2 bases. I shouldn't worry too much about what's happening. What he should be worried about are the upgrades. +2 immediately on the way here for JimRising. He's pushing out across the map with these roaches. Bold move. Can he get damage done here? He does have the army advantage, but we do have queens. We do have transfuse energy. And more roaches are popping out for Cham. Cham sees everything, by the way. We'll see. We'll see if this works. As Jimmy's about to rock up, trying to set up a concave. But like pushing into this arc. Oh god. Tries to focus down as many of the roaches as he can, but there's just too much here. It's not going to work out for him. And you know what's scary? Roach speed is about to finish up. Wait, did Jim forget roach speed? What? What? Oh no, okay, he has it. I was like, what's going on here? No, it's okay. He's got it. He has it. He has it ready. But Cham is looking to go for a counterattack, and +2 is still a ways away. This is kind of terrifying. Oh god, especially because Jim lost the queen earlier. Like, he doesn't have everything he needs to defend right now. Cham, he rocks up. There's barely any roaches here to help buffer for JimRising. Sure, he has a couple of Ravagers, and sure, the Biles are forcing some micro here. But regardless, Cham is breaking through. He's going to get on top of everything. Ay. Jim, losing the queen earlier, losing the roaches earlier, really put him in a bad position. And this is what I'm worried about. On Blackburn, counterattacks hit so quickly. Cham is already here. All these drones are going down at the third base. Not just the third, but just the bases in general. There's almost nothing left here for JimRising. Ay. A couple of roaches are trickling out, and maybe with this he'll be able to force Cham all the way back. Oh my god, we even had a contamination on +2. Jesus Christ. Cham, already dealt the damage, and like there isn't even enough to force him back. If Cham wanted to, he could just keep going. Instead, Cham takes the goal base. He's up almost 20 workers. We have an infestation pit that's about to finish up as well, so we can get straight into +3. If he wanted to, we can go into a hive for Vipers as well. Cham just looking dominant here in Game 2. Game 1 was much more closer, much more back and forth, but here in Game 2, I do feel like the strengths that JimRising has are a little bit minimized here. He can't really kind of exploit them in a way that he can in other maps. Oh god. Take advantage of them, I think is a better way to put it. Why first expansion not goal base? True. I agree for sure, I agree. As Cham now, he even supply blocked JimRising by sniping that Overlord. Now he's pushing out across the map. He's up 40, 50 supply. And sure, JimRising survived earlier, but I don't see him surviving here. Ay. If you're a JimRising fan in the chat, do not worry. He's not going to be knocked out of the tournament, but he will be knocked down into the lower bracket as Cham is looking to break through the third base. Again, being very tentative, to be fair. Maybe overly cautious. He's almost maxed out, for Christ's sake. Cham, what are you doing? He comes in with half his army and loses it. Oh my god. Probably the best case scenario for Jim. But even then, it's just not going to be enough. Jim, he's a headed upgrade. Sure, that's something. But at a certain point in the mirror matchup, it's a numbers game. GG gets called and Cham takes the series 2-0. Congratulations. Well played. GG. Cham does take it with a very solid play. Nothing too cheeky out of him. More often than not, he was just chilling at home, getting his third base up, defending, and then would counterattack once he has dealt the damage that he needs to. Oh. And with that, GG. Well played. And we're diving straight into our next series. Oh my god. So Cham is waiting in the grand finals. And we are getting ready for not the lower bracket finals, but the lower bracket semifinals. Oh my god. What has happened? Okay, I gotta quickly set up.